the Dawgs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a special episode of the Dawgs Podcast presented by Omaha Steaks and Today Discord. We are doing our first ever Dog Pack Discord show. So what we're doing today, I've got Justin, I've got Kenny Mac from Canada in here co-hosting with me, and we are bringing in some of our Discord followers from the Dog Pack, and we're going to do a Discord stages for you guys. We're going to talk amongst ourselves, talk Browns, answer some questions, and just kind of see where the topics go. We've got nothing hard planned. We're just going to, this first time we're doing this, so we're experimenting. We're going to see how this turns out, and hopefully everybody has a good time. So, Justin, Kenny, how are you guys doing on this Friday afternoon when we're recording?
I am completely dry, and the reason why I'm saying that is because I was at the Red Blacks Blue Bombers game last night, and there was fireworks for the offense for the Red Blacks for once, but there was also this unbelievable torrential downpour. Out of all the events I've been to outdoors in my life, that is the wettest I've ever been. And the rain jacket that I had is not a rain jacket because I was soaked.
Man, when you said you were dry, I was assuming you drank too much last night. That's where I thought you were going.
Yeah. No, it was super wet and super crazy. They actually, the last 2 minutes of the game, they had to call the game, and it got done at the it's not a 2-minute warning, it's like college ball, but there's 2 minutes left. The Red Blacks were salting it out, and they had to call the game for about an hour. So we all went home, and the Red Blacks actually won.
Well, that's pretty fun. Sounds like a good time. Justin, what's going on, man?
I'm jealous, man. I'm jealous. I'm hearing about all this good stuff and hockey, and I had to work today and came home and jumped in the pool for about 5 minutes, and then I'm here now.
Man, it's hot out today too. It's definitely warming up. It was like a week ago. I was outside in like a sweatshirt and stuff. So this time in Ohio, just you never know what you're going to get.
Absolutely.
All right. So anybody in the audience right now, you guys can post in the chat. We'll answer questions from the chat and things that you're talking about there. And also, if you guys, okay, we've already got a hand up. So I think we'll just go ahead and bring True Senpai in here. Make sure I know how to do this. Maybe not. There we go. What's up, True?
Yo, money maker.
What up, brother?
How we doing, man?
What up, my man?
So, I want to bring something up, the elephant in the room, right away.
All right.
And can the Browns fans stop overreacting about every little thing that goes on during minicamp negatively? It is so exhausting on the line right now. And Josh, our social media wizard over there, fighting off the boomers. It's just like, oh, Deshaun Watson makes a pass. Oh, yeah, but he's a scumbag and blah, blah, blah. What about the catch that the wide receiver just made? Or, look at that sweet, swim move that dude. Yeah, but Deshaun Watson's on the team. He's a scumbag. It's just so annoying. Anyway, you guys could talk about that.
Yeah, man. So it was, obviously the videos came out the other day. Deshaun was throwing some deep passes at veteran mandatory minicamp. We were going to talk about this, so I'm glad Brad brought that up. And I forget who the one that he completed in the video was to, but the one that was getting shared around a lot was the pass to Elijah Moore. It was just kind of like a simulated rollout. They're not really going against defenses or anything. So he rolls out on the run, kind of plants his feet at the last second, twists his body, and chucks the ball like 50 yards downfield, overthrows Elijah by a fingertip. It kind of went right off of Elijah's fingertips. And of course, he's obviously not very accurate. I'm like, what do you guys, the point of the video is the dude's arm looks healthy. That's the big deal.
Yeah, no, 100%. Nathan Zagura, I was listening to him for a little bit. His two big points on him is that he's moving around well and that ball has zip on it. And I'm watching what you just said right now. Definitely has zip. I mean, not hitting the 50-yard bomb, it is what it is, but I like what I see.
Yeah, all I heard was from Cam that they looked good. People are excited about the offense, with Dorsey and what he's implemented in. But yeah, from what I heard, Deshaun Watson looked good in everything that he was doing. Obviously, it's just a mandatory minicamp, but you gotta for a guy coming off a major, surgery, you gotta like what you see from the videos and stuff like that.
100%. I mean, going all the way through winter and into the spring and everything, a lot of the talk was, well, is he going to, I mean, you remember the original talk was, well, is he going to be 100% for week one? I don't know. Will he be out there for training camp? I don't know. Day one of OTAs, voluntary OTAs, he's out there chucking the ball around. And here we are just a few weeks later, and he's throwing these deep bombs down. The dude's ready to go. He's ready to go. And it's awesome because this team, as long as we stay relatively healthy, we can avoid what happened last year. Man, this is a damn good team.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at another one from Deshaun Watson to Darden, and he's got some zip on that. It is a nice tight spiral. Yeah. It's a nice tight spiral. Hit him right on stride. Looks fantastic.
Andrew Jackson in the chat says, how many 50-yard bombs do you throw in a game anyway? Very good point. Maybe 1, 2. I mean, you don't really take a ton of deep shots like that in an NFL game, especially now with everybody playing so much zone with the 2 high safety. It's just, they're forcing quarterbacks to work in that intermediate. So if anybody else wants to jump in here and chat for a second, ask a question or whatever, just put your hand up. We'll throw you in here. Anybody?
One thing I will say though, one thing I'll say though is they are taking a lot of deep shots in this camp. Ultimately, what you're going to get in this camp right here and the previous ones, they're passing camps. And ultimately, what Ken Dorsey wants to do is push that ball down the field. I don't know if you've seen this one guy, and here it is, Matt Landers. He's beat this defense huge. Now, take it with a grain of salt. It is pads and shorts, I get it. But to consistently beat these guys and get these 50-yard bombs, this could be something good. We'll see what happens during training camp and into the preseason, but I like what I see from this Matt Landers kid.
Yep, definitely. Pastor Rob, what's up, man? You helped us get this whole thing set up. So just wanted to say publicly, we appreciate you. You are the Discord king, and without you, we wouldn't have this thing.
Absolutely.
Yes. You can...
No, right. My question is, I'm taking a little bit of a detour from what you used to be talking about. What do you think about the comments from Schwartz, where it's 20% of the defense changes every year, throw it out, you take in a new thing? Also, the guys like JOK and that coming out and saying that last year the defense was really complex. Do you think that's a statement on Joe Woods, or is it a statement on how complex Jim Schwartz is running his defense? I'll leave that one with you guys.
That's a tough one to answer, because what I understand from previous things that I've listened to is that at least the back end was easier and we weren't getting as many blown coverages because they were communicating, because whatever they were communicating was easier for them to internalize and make work on the field. As far as it being more complex, I'm not sure how to answer that one.
I'm not either, because I didn't see this quote, and what I remember from last year in 2023 was the defensive players talking about how much more simplified the defense was compared to the year before, which would have been Joe Woods. So to hear that anything about Jim Schwartz's defense being complex is a little bit new to me. Justin?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page with you guys. From what I read and stuff like that, just from players and what they were saying, is they felt like they were just able to play loose. You know what I mean? Like, It was just a lot of instinct and almost, I don't want to say ball hawking, but that pin the ears back and just go make a play. So that is interesting though. But the core group, minus maybe Anthony Walker and a couple other positions, the core group of those guys are all still together. They're just basically running this thing back.
Yeah, I mean, and all they really did, in my opinion, is improve the defense. I as good as Anthony Walker played when he was on the field, that was the biggest issue with him. But I think Jordan Hicks is an upgrade. I think he's a massive, contributor in the tackling department. I think he's got a track record of staying healthy and staying on the field. And then I think Devin Bush is low key under the radar, could have a good season for the Browns, not in a spotlight role. They don't need him to be the guy at the linebacker position. He can kind of rotate in and do his thing. And I love Buki Watson. So I think that, and on the defensive line, all we did was upgrade the middle. I mean, we added Michael Hall and Quentin Jefferson, and everybody that was awesome on the defense last year is still there. So Blake says all the time the biggest improvement we could have made this offseason was just getting our injured guys healthy, because that's how good we were last year.
100%.
Yep.
Let's see. Pastor Rob in the chat. The team looks like it could be very good with 4 guys, 10-plus sacks. Okay, 4 guys with 10-plus sacks. Who would they be? Okay, who's the other 3?
Yeah, you know it's going to be number 95, and then I'll let Justin go first.
I could see Dalvin getting up there.
Okay.
If I'm going to take a guy that could get 10, that's who I'd throw him in the mix.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Oko, because that's what he wants to get this year. I'm gonna go Zadarius, gets off the snide and he gets his 10. And then I'm gonna go with a dark horse. I'm gonna go for a rookie pick. I think since Hurst did it, he was the last rookie to hit maybe or get rookie of the year and hit a bunch of sacks. I think Hall can hit 10 with his violent hands.
Okay.
I mean, he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Whenever I interviewed Buki Watson, I loved his one quote that he said. He says, "I have hate for the quarterback." And I mean, that's one thing he did in college. He had a ton of sacks. So I know it's obviously NFL's different than college. It's a different level of talent and everything else. But still, I think that that's another dude who can get after the quarterback. And I wouldn't be surprised if, I'm not going to say 10, but if Alex Wright didn't sneaky get close, because I think he had 5.5 last year, and that was I think that was pretty limited play time for him to be able to do that. So
his pressure rate was really good, like you pointed out. Nice.
Yeah. So you're right, Pastor Rob. I think we've got Andrew Jackson says JOK will be close to 10. Well, we know his tackles for loss will be huge.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else want to jump in here and chat for a sec, ask a question or talk a little bit? Okay. Let's see. We got Brad Moneymaker coming on back in. Oh, all right. Brad, we'll get you and then we'll get Andrew after we're done here. Okay, Brad, what's up, man?
All right. Just take a small detour off of the Browns minicamp.
Okay.
I know you've seen me post about it a few times, but it's looking more and more likely that we are probably getting a stadium in Brook Park.
Yes.
Every time I read a news article, it just keeps going towards, hey, we're going to Brook Park. And just want to know your guys' thoughts on that one.
All right. Justin, you want to lead that one off?
Yeah. I mean, if we're going to Brook Park, sounds like we're getting a dome. Sounds like we're getting a, for us, a state-of-the-art stadium. So that's exciting, especially for somebody that sits out in terrible weather games every year. The idea of going to a game and not having to wear a jacket, a jersey, a hoodie, a beanie, and just relax and enjoy the football. Super exciting.
Yeah, we've kind of, at least I know this has been my opinion on the matter since everything started. Whenever they first started, or whenever the news came out that they were buying that land in Brook Park, it was like, oh, this is 100% happening. It's just a matter of when and how long is it going to take to go through all the red tape and all that BS. But they're invested in this idea, and which I think is great. I think that it's a long-term vision for the future of not just Cleveland Browns, but Cleveland in general. And, I know there's all that pushback. Oh, got to keep the Browns in the city. this is an investment in the team in Cleveland. Yeah, okay, they're not right there in downtown, but they're 10 minutes down the road or whatever it is. They're in the air. I mean, they are the Cleveland Browns. They're staying there long term. We don't have to worry about anything. And I love it. I think these new state-of-the-art stadiums are fantastic. It'll be one of the best in the league, if not the best, by the time they're done with it. And like you said, now we can go to games the whole season and not have to worry about the weather, which that's so huge and new for Cleveland.
Man, I don't mind it. I mean, at first I had kind of a boomer mentality with it where I was like, no, we got to play in the elements. We got advantage. Like that's what has been drilled in my head the last 48 years, 49 years on this planet, right? Flip side of it, though, usually when I stay in Cleveland and go to a game, I'm going to stay off 150th. So I'm close to Berea, kind of close to the stadium, right in between. Brook Park is a couple exits down from there, I believe. I don't mind Strongsville. I like that area too. There's a couple breweries around in the area. So, I mean, eventually it'll morph into something that can be as good as the lakefront, which I'm used to. And I'm okay with it.
This episode is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. Let's all take a minute to wish happy birthday to the United States of America. And there's no better way to celebrate America's birthday than with the best meats available for your backyard cookouts this 4th of July season. Right now, you can save 50% off site-wide during the Omaha Steaks 4th of July sale. So break out the grills and get ready for the 4th of July celebrations with Omaha Steaks. Get the burgers, the chicken, the jumbo franks, the brats, and of course, get the steaks. Those things are incredible. They've got appetizers, meatballs, wings. They've got desserts. They've even got wine. They've got everything you guys need to celebrate America's birthday with your friends and your family. Go to omahasteaks.com/dogs and use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out, and you'll get an extra $30 off your order. So set off the fireworks in everybody's mouth with Omaha Steaks this 4th of July. Head to omahasteaks.com/dogs. Get 50% off site-wide during the 4th of July sale, and make sure you guys punch in that promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out to get an extra $30 off your order. Happy 4th of July, everybody.
Awesome. All right, let's get Andrew in here, and then we got a question from Thrilla in Canada over in the chat, so we'll get to that after Andrew.
All right, guys, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, dog.
Hey. All right, so put a percentage on your concern for this Amari Cooper, is it a contract or,
okay,
being missing? Because to me, I don't look at it, I have zero concern with it at all, but of course you look online at some of the fans, air quoting that, and they're losing their minds. So what do you guys think, like a percentage chance that it's a concern?
Do you guys care if I start this?
Take it away, man.
Go ahead, man.
So for me, I'm not concerned as far as do I think he'll be playing this season. I think eventually Andrew Berry will get it done. And whether he's unhappy, whether he wants a new contract, something like that. But as far as like his importance to our offense, I think it completely, he has merit to say, yeah, I think I do want to be on a new contract. I mean, yeah, maybe I do want to make a little bit more money, because the idea of not having Amari Cooper in this offense with how important he was last year, I think it's critical that he's out there. Especially if, I know we believe in Jerry Jeudy, what he can become, but I think that's with the idea that Amari Cooper is on the field also.
Yeah, I want to see him get a contract extension. He's got some dead money for the next 2 years. Just put it all together, make something happen. With this year included, make it 3 years. If he doesn't step on the field a single time before we kick off in September, I don't care. He doesn't need any more practice. Get the guys that, because after him, everything's a question mark. Get everybody else all the reps and get them ready for the season.
So I understand exactly what you're saying, Kenny, and I agree with I agree with the thought behind it. But I need him on the field all training camp, because these guys have shown when they don't come to training camp, their risk of injury during the season goes up because their bodies aren't in shape, they're not conditioned. So I think that's very important, and I think it gets done. To me, this is zero concern. Pastor Rob in the chat says zero concern. I agree. I think we talked about this, Justin. You remember we did an episode months ago, like back in February or something, talking about potential casualties just based on their dead caps and stuff, and we looked at Amari Cooper's and said, well, he falls into this conversation, but not as like somebody we actually think they're going to cut, but as somebody who's going to need to get restructured and extended. They have to restructure for this year to lower the cap hit, but really in order to do that, you have to extend him then. So I think, like Kenny said, I think probably 2 years plus this one. So I think it gets done before they go to the Greenbrier.
Exactly. I completely agree. 100%.
And I know he's 29 going into age 30 this season, but I mean, he's had 2 of his top 3 career seasons in Cleveland the last 2 years. He just seems to continue to improve. And again, I know we said it last year, and we'll have to say it again this year. If you get Deshaun Watson for a whole season with Amari Cooper, I don't know, man. It could be some fireworks.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, the one thing you don't have to worry about Amari Cooper is, like, he's dominating with physical skill, but he's also a precise route runner.
Mm-hmm.
You could lose some of the physical ability, you can lose some of the speed, but you don't lose your ability to run routes when you're really good at them. So investing in that in the next 2 to 3 years would be fantastic for this offense.
Yeah, think about Keenan Allen. He's 33 or 32, 33 this year, and still able to contribute on an NFL field at a high level because like you said, his athletic and physical abilities may be on the decline because he's getting a little older for a football player, that he knows where to be for his quarterback. And that's really, if you're a receiver, that's all you can, that's the best thing you can do. Just be where your quarterback needs you to be, and you can have a long, extended career.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move over to the chat. Thrilla says, what player do you guys think will the Browns use in the overload plays? Seeing as Nick Harris is gone, would it make any sense to slot Zinter in for some reps? So whenever they did that overload package and they would bring Nick Harris in at like that fullback position, do you think we've got a plan to continue doing that in the Ken Dorsey offense? And if so, who would it be?
I thought they might go more with Ken Dorsey with a traditional, not traditional, what do I want to say, like an H-back style with a tight end.
Oh, like Welch.
Yeah, like Welch or the other kid they had last year. I just forget what his name was. He's got 2 last names.
Zaire Mitchell-Payton.
Zaire Mitchell-Payton, yeah. I thought maybe they go more that route because I don't recall Ken Dorsey doing that with the Bills. Now, I watched enough being up where I am. There's a lot of Bills fans, but I don't recall them using an offensive lineman as like a guy that they would use. But maybe that's something Stefanski wants. And if that's the case, I mean, maybe it would be Zinter.
Or my first thought went to Luke Whippler. Just because Nick Harris was like that smaller lineman, not like the big 6'6" guy, but he was, the shorter, a little more stout lineman. I think Whippler almost fits that billing. Might be a little quicker, but I don't know, Justin. What do you think?
I mean, something I've just honestly never really thought about, but Zinter's good. I really liked the idea with Welch. I think they're gonna, if he stays on the team and makes the team, I could see him being used in a lot of different ways, almost like how it was like Harrison Bryant kind of gimmick deal too.
Yeah. But
I like the idea of that. Luke Whippler's one too that, as you're looking over the depth chart, that makes sense. But it's something I've never really thought about.
Yeah, Pastor Rob says, what about DeJuan Jones? And I was thinking, well, if they go with Wills and Conklin as your starting tackles and they're both healthy and playing, well, you got DeJuan Jones on the sideline, could easily come in and, whoa. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, that's a great point because I remember back in the early 90s, the Browns used a defensive tackle named James Jones at fullback sometimes, and he was 300 pounds. And once they got to the 2-yard line, you were getting hammered, we got a touchdown.
Let's see. Andrew Jackson says, what known player doesn't make the team as opposed to like secret players? No, I'm just messing, dude. I guess I don't exactly know what he means by known, but maybe like already on the, he says yes, maybe like already on the roster. I mean, easy one for me is Pierre Strong. Oh, bigger name player. Okay.
So I'm gonna push back on that a little bit because of the special teams and some of the stuff I've been hearing about him. His one step and go on special teams for the way that special teams is going to be done now, he's got a great possibility to make the team. Although I can see it happen based on the other running backs that he may be cut, but there's that extra little bit that he shone in those specific practices.
I think if I had to pick like even a positional group, I think maybe like D tackle. There's a lot of talent, a lot of guys. So I think that I wouldn't be surprised if there was a guy in that group, maybe like a Shelby Harris or a Maurice Hurst, like guys that we like and that were impactful last year. I mean, there's just a lot of talent.
Well, like I said, I don't.
Are they going to get cut or traded?
I mean, I feel like you can get something for those guys. I mean, those were starters, in spots for us last year. So, I mean, I don't think Andrew Berry would be against putting them on the market, especially if, they know they're not going to make the team. I'm sure they could go and say, hey, well, I'm going to request a trade.
I don't think
get me somewhere deep.
I don't think Shelby Harris goes into that conversation because he got a 2-year contract. So I think there's, and I don't have the numbers up, but I'm sure there's some sort of dead cap implication that is like it wouldn't make sense to cut him or trade him this year.
Right.
Now next year's a different story, but I think he's locked into the roster. But some of those other guys, one that would rip my heart out is Mo. That would kill me.
Yeah.
He's got the shortest contract and he's coming off a bigger injury, and it wouldn't surprise me. I would not feel good about it, but based on the way that everything else is kind of rolling out, he might be the guy.
Yep. Oh, let's see. All right, Pastor Rob has asked to jump in here, so bring him in.
What's your thoughts on Ika for that then?
Ika's a second-year guy that was a third-round draft pick, and he didn't get any playing time at all, hardly last year. I don't see them being willing to move on without giving him a shake, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think the way that Andrew Berry has put his draft picks on the Browns and kept them, he would be the earliest cut that we've seen so far, which would be highly unlikely, but you never know.
I agree, Kenny. That is something that he's like really particular about. I feel like we waited a lot of years before we saw a guy get cut.
I think Andrew Berry seems very pragmatic when it comes to his picks. He likes his picks and he stands behind his picks and he stands behind the people that he thinks are good players. Things like bringing in Jerry Jeudy now. He obviously thought he was a good player when he came out, and he's just went, well, I think he's a good player, therefore I'm going to keep him. But he's also ruthless. When he thinks someone's done, for example, when he brought in tight end from the Titans.
You talking about Hooper?
Oh, Cooper?
He just like, nope, he's bad, bye. And he just cut and run. He's ruthless when he wants to be ruthless. When he thinks you're not performing to what I want you to perform to, he is like, put the gun to the head, like, going, bye. I have no time for you. And he hit a lot of cap getting rid of Hooper as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that and I know what you're saying with Ika, but I don't know how they can evaluate whether or not he's good or not because he didn't really play. I think that last year was more a situation of being buried on a depth chart that was very talented. And he has a different defensive tackle style. He's a different type of player. He's a different body, physical. Like he's just a big body run stuffing type of defensive tackle where what sucks about the thing with Mo Hurst is they just drafted Michael Hall in the second round and Hall profiles to be what Mo Hurst is from the defensive tackle position. So rather than double up there, I bet you they would opt to keep Ika.
Yeah, like Sayaki Ika is basically going to have to take playing time from Tomlinson, and that's not going to happen right now. He is the one guy that that's going to supplant him at some point. If that happens, all the other guys can come in on passing downs and all these other packages that they have. And Ika's just got one thing that he's got to do, what Tomlinson does. And right now he's not going to take his time.
The other one, what you were talking about, is the frame that Ika has. His frame was good for college, but it's not the power and strength that you need for the NFL. So he's got to develop his body up with they're willing to take the time. Right, NFL player.
Yeah, you cut out there a little bit, but I think I got the gist of what you were saying, and I agree. And
all right,
maybe that's, hopefully that's what they've been working on this entire offseason and everything. So obviously there's a lot of speculation here, but as soon as training camp gets underway, we'll definitely get more answers to some of these questions. Did you have anything else about Ika? Oh, nope. Okay. He's gone. So he's back in the audience. So Thrilla has been asking over here about a couple of receivers in the chat. He says, do you think that David Bell makes the team, and does Michael Woods the second get a chance this year? What do you guys think?
I hear more about Michael Woods than I hear about David Bell at this point. Based on what I've read and seen, I hear a lot about the catches and what he's done well, and I just can't say anything about Bell because I'm not hearing anything about him.
What do you think, Justin?
So it's crazy with Michael Woods. Michael Woods, we thought was a steal. I'm pretty sure he's a 6th-round pick, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
So guy was a steal, was having a really nice training camp until that injury. David Bell for me is interesting because he's a guy that, we liked a lot and there's just been very, very little production other than a play here and then that Cincinnati game where, you get a shot. He had a nice game there, but and when he has opportunities, I feel like they just never cash it. So, I guess we'll see what happens as far as when training camp rolls out this year. If Michael Woods, steps up, and he would have to have a hell of a camp. But
yeah,
David Bell, I would say, is definitely on the hot seat.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think, assuming Cooper gets extended and everything else and everything's all good there, it's going to be so hard to command any sort of target share for some of these back end of the depth chart wide receivers because you've got Amari Cooper and then it's either Jerry Jeudy or David Njoku as probably your second highest target. So there's 3 guys, and you got Elijah Moore, Cedric Tillman. Yeah. So there's 5 guys right there just in the receiving game. And then anybody you're throwing the ball to out of the backfield. And it's just, and then there's Jamari Thrash, who's been, putting up a couple highlights and stuff that we just drafted. It is going to be a little bit cutthroat, I think, at the back end of this wide receiver depth chart. And I do think, Thrilla, to answer your question, David Bell, this could be it.
Yeah, Steve Smith doesn't go handing out compliments very much, and he's got Thrash's back big time.
Yeah, as soon as we drafted him, I started doing a little research into him because he's a guy that I just did not pay much attention to in the pre-draft process, but I came away thinking, okay, obviously we're not drafting Marvin Harrison type of player here in the 5th round, but a receiver who could come in and be a good wide receiver, 4, 3 maybe someday on an NFL team, that's valuable.
Absolutely.
That's Thrash's trash.
Oh, come on, Andrew. That's so mean. Does anybody else want to jump in here and talk for a little bit? Or are you guys having too much fun in the chat? Okay. Oh, wow. They're all jumping. Let's see. We've had Brad twice. Let's get Andrew was first. We'll get him in here, and then we'll move to Brad. Andrew, what's up, buddy?
All right. So I'll put it in the chat. So who is your most disappointing Andrew Berry draft pick? Is it David Bell? Because I probably, I know people would first jump to Schwartz, as possibly even the most, but David Bell came in with such high accolades. He was first team All Big Ten in front of people like Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. He came in with, some credibility behind him. Is he the most disappointing Andrew Berry draft pick? Or is it something?
Can I go first? Can I go first real fast?
Go ahead, yes.
For me, it's got to be Cade York. Spent a 4th-round pick on this kicker, and he didn't even. I mean, he made it one season. It was a disappointment. Then we had to cut him. Like, that sucks. That's a huge waste of draft capital. Now I know he's back, but it was very disappointing. But go ahead, Justin. I know you got somebody.
No, that was one of them. Cade was for sure one of them.
Okay.
And then the other one Andrew mentioned, Schwartz. I mean, but I think on both of those guys, everything that you heard about them coming out, maybe not Schwartz, but at least Cade York, he was great in college. I mean, you couldn't have gotten a better kicker that year, at least from what you heard about everything with him coming out. So I thought that at the time it was a great pick. Now, obviously it didn't work out. He is on the team for now, but yeah, I would say if it's between York and Schwartz, I'd probably say Schwartz just because of just how badly it went.
I got one more, but Kenny, who do you got?
I got Perion Winfrey, the gunslinger. I was super stoked to get him. I had to look it up because I knew it was just offload somebody, but it was Perion Winfrey. So we got him with the 108th pick. I was like, wow, what a gem. We got this guy. He is going to be like Mike Hall Jr. and like that type of player. Under the weight limit that you want for a DT, but fast and cleaning up some sacks. Instead, we got a whole lot of nothing and a whole lot of headache.
That's very true.
I was excited too. I was really, he was a kid that I was so excited. I felt like just his like energy and like what you were seeing heading into that. I was like, man, he is going to mesh well with this defense. And it just did not work out. And
what sucks is it's not on the field like failure. It was just his off the field. He couldn't get himself out of his own way.
Yeah, it was a him problem, you know. Like he comes in, he's like, "Bro, I'm gonna be feasting with Myles Garrett. Like I'm the best. Like you know, like let's do it, dogs, dog pound forever." And then we got nothing.
Yeah. And it was, I think even more, because those last few games of that season, he started to come on a little bit and show some flashes where it was like, okay, all right, pretty excited for the next season. And then he just got in too much trouble. And he is no longer. And the last guy here that I was going through the list, and I'm like, oh, this might be worse than the Cade York pick for me was Harrison Bryant. I was so excited for Harrison Bryant because he was like the best tight end in college. I thought, oh, we got a guy here. We're going to develop this dude. He's going to be a legitimate receiving threat for this team, a very good tight end, and nothing. Just 4 years and nothing.
Yeah, no. Even against the Commanders, he had that 2-touchdown game.
Yeah,
he was a rookie, and I was like, okay, here it's going to come. It's going to come, and then now he was doing quarterback sneaks in his last year.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like. I don't get it.
This episode is brought to you by Manly Bands. Dog Pack, if you followed the show for a while, you know that I recently got married. I got my wedding band at Manly Bands. Now, I opted for something a little more simple, so I just got a plain, simple, gold, polished band from Manly Bands, but that's not everybody, and I'm telling you, they've got so many cool different designs and materials available. They've got bands made out of Jack Daniel's whiskey barrels, meteorites, even dinosaur bones. It's so cool. Just head to manlybands.com, check out the selection, see what they have. They've even got build your own bands if you want to make a custom style band for yourself. And right now, use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, at manlybands.com when you check out, and you'll get 25% off your order. 25% is a big deal. So make sure if you guys are looking for a new wedding band, Blake mentioned last week or two on the show that, you know, he's lost a lot of weight in the last year. And so his wedding band is a little too big for him. So he's thinking about getting a new one. And I told him, I said, just go to Manly Bands, see what they got. And the 25% off your order is such a great deal. You really can't beat it. So at least go check it out, see what they have. They've got some really cool stuff. And again, promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, if you decide to buy one, and you'll get 25% off of that purchase. If you don't know your ring size, you can order a free ring size guide. They'll ship it straight to you. You can punch out the little rings and put them on your finger to see which size fits you best. And then every single band you order comes with a free silicone ring for whenever you want to work out or go swimming or whatever you need a silicone band for. You get one for free shipped with your purchase of a Manly Band from manlybands.com. So check it out. Again, manlybands.com. Use promo code DAWGS for 25% off your order.
Yeah, so let's get Brad in here now. Brad coming into the stage. What's up, buddy?
There you go.
Baker.
Hey, guys. What's up?
What up?
Yo.
What up? What up?
So, between Foreman and Ford, who do you think is going to be the day one starter at running back?
I've been on it for a while. I think it's Foreman. I do think it's Foreman, and it's not a knock on Jerome Ford. I thought that last year there was moments with Ford where I was like, wow, he looks great. I've been on the record for a while. I think Jerome Ford needs to be your Duke Johnson. You need to get him out in space. You need to let him, catch the screen balls, whatever. I would, for me personally, Deontay Foreman, it's a role that he's familiar with. This isn't like, he's never just been thrust into it. It's always been like, oh, he's dependable. There's an injury. He steps into the number one role and he excels for the most part. So, if Nick Chubb, it sounds like Nick Chubb's going to miss some significant time. Give me Foreman in that role.
Yeah, and I know I've kind of been with you on the Foreman thing too, and I know I've been the biggest one, harping on the inefficiencies of Jerome Ford, but I keep thinking about the Ken Dorsey offense, and it might be a little bit more, I guess I don't really know how to put it. It's going to be a different run style than what we've seen under Kevin in the years past. And I just think that they utilized James Cook very well under Ken Dorsey, and that I feel like Ford profiles a little closer to him than what Foreman does. Foreman, to me, would be more like the inside the 20s kind of guy. But I guess I wouldn't be surprised either way. I think Foreman's very talented. I wouldn't hate to see Aiden Robbins out there either, but we'll see how training camp goes. Kenny, what do you think?
Well, I'll throw this out to you. I think they might just start it depending on what the defense dictates for the other team. If they don't defend the pass well, then you're going to see Ford start. If they don't defend the run well, then you're going to see Foreman start.
That's fair.
And that's the way they could possibly work it.
That's true. We might not have I know you say day one starter, but it's probably going to be a timeshare, like a true running back timeshare, like you could kind of just based on situational. So, let's see here. I thought, Pastor Rob, did you still want to come into stage? Put your hand up if you do. What else am I missing over here in the chat? Anything? Okay, you guys are still talking about Ford and Foreman, so I'm excited for training camp. I guess who would be like your top guys to keep an eye on in training camp once it kicks off?
Go ahead, Kenny.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to look at any of the starters, really. You want to see how the linebackers develop and what happens in that situation. I'm sure based on just having two linebackers out there to start the game, you're going to have Hicks and you're going to have JOK. Then after that, it'd be interesting to see how the rest of that room shakes down. That's what we're going to be looking at, back-end roster. Are we going to have a solid number 2 tight end that's going to come in, or are we going to find something that's going to be on the roster as it is? Is there going to be a number 3 tight end battle? And then other than that, it's the defensive tackle and the back end of the DB room. Who's going to be left standing?
I agree. I always enjoy hearing about those positional battles and stuff like that, and who's doing well at camp, who's possibly on the fringe. I think the guy for me that I'm most excited about heading into this year, and just to see, obviously you have to say Watson, but the other guy, I'm excited for Jerry Jeudy. I'm really, I'm excited to see what we're going to get. Are we going to be able to unlock this kid? You know, that's for me, that's a question mark heading into this year. You know, we paid him like a pretty good receiver. So, you know, is this a Jerry Jeudy thing, or is this or, you know, can we finally get this guy going?
Yeah, I love that
Hearing
one.
that Jerry Judy's got a lot of shake, and the last player that had like that much shake was OBJ in their training camp, is based on a lot of stuff I'm reading. The other thing I want to point out quickly too is the return situation, and I kind of mentioned it with Pierre Strong earlier. I wonder what's going to happen with that position and who's really going to get to the top. Is it going to be number 11 from last year? Was it Roche?
Crochet.
Yeah.
Will it be Roche?
Mm-hmm.
James Roche, yeah. And or is it are they gonna just default it now because it's the way it is? You're gonna have your fastest guys doing it because it can be a one step and go.
I think that's a role that you could see Nyheim Hines really step into. Also, you know, he's explosive playmaker. I wouldn't be shocked at all if that's your guy based on the new rules.
I think you're looking at Hines or you're looking at Strong. I don't think you keep two backup depth chart running backs that you're not going to use in a game just for kickoffs. I think it's going to be one or the other. And the thing with Hines, like I talked about in a previous episode, he's not doing drills or anything yet. He's still not fully back or anything from that ACL injury. So I don't know if he's got the leg up or the leg still injured. But looking at training camp for me, and especially when we go up to training camp this year, I'm going to be paying close attention to the starting tackles. Who's running with the first team? Who's running with the second team? Are they interchanging some of these guys in and out between Wills and Conklin and Jones? I think that's going to be a huge topic of conversation over the summer.
Yeah, even the one backup guard there from South Dakota, I believe, maybe that's the guy that they move into those jumbo positions. I'd actually have to take a look, going back to that previous question, who actually played running back before, because that's generally, or tight end, which guys get those kind of positions, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just as a side note real quick, I was listening to some other stuff this week, and they were talking, I guess there were some NFL coaches talking about, they're kind of projecting out, looking down, you know, maybe 4 or 5 weeks into the season, saying by that point in time, we're probably going to be having some of our star receivers, our star running backs, some of the big playmakers on our team begging to be the kick returner, because the opportunity to get injured has gone down. And if you can make a big play, that you're going to be able to make big plays on the kick return. So, you know, by the end of the season, I don't think it'd be too crazy to see guys out there that you're like, wow, I would never think that guy would be returning kicks. But that's how it could go with some of these NFL teams.
It kind of sucks that we lost the Scottish Hammer, because he had that rugby background, did he not? For these kickoffs.
Yeah.
Or you want, I remember back in the day, if any of you guys remember, there was the Bennett kid, and he was out of the Aussie rules too. He kicked for the Chargers maybe, or I can't remember what team, but you want kind of a thumper as your kicker now, you know?
Yeah, he had a little trouble catching those snaps. But let's get Pastor Rob in here. What's going on, man?
That's one good thing. I was want to talk about NFL development. So I come from Scotland, so I follow a football team, and we develop players, and it takes a long time to develop to come in. So going back to Cade York, I'm a big exponent of the fact that I think kickers take longer than a season or an off tournament NFL kicker, and the NFL protect these guys so that they're not thrown away, and we develop them over a longer period of time. They should be able to be stashed away somewhere, like offensive linemen or interior defensive linemen. These guys are they're not like they come into the league. There's guys that do that, but most don't come into the league and become Brady NFL starters from day one. They take a bit of time. It's usually 2, maybe 3 years until they get their feet under them and able to. What's your thoughts on the way that the NFL doesn't it's very disposable. Every year, it's like, we'll throw that player away and let's move on to the next guy, and it's like we only accept the guys that are able to come in and start on, and the guys that don't do that kind of get thrown to the side and very, very disposable. I'll leave you with that.
Yeah, I know you are Cade York's biggest fan, and we talked about whenever the Browns brought him back and they signed him back to the team with a futures contract. It was like, okay, cool. I'm glad they were able to get him and recoup him, bring him back. Maybe we were able to get him back onto the practice squad this year. I think, me personally, the Browns were just in a position last year where it was like, going into the season, we had the roster, we're in a win now window, and we cannot be losing close games because the kicker can't make his kick. So Andrew Berry made a hard decision, cut him, traded for Dustin Hopkins, and it was a huge successful move. But we've talked plenty of times about kickers the Browns have cut way too early, and they go on to have successful careers for other teams, and then they're beating us 2-3 years down the road in games. It's like, damn, we used to have that guy, but he wasn't very good for us, but now he is. So I think it's cool that we were able to get Cade York back. I just don't think we were not going to be successful with him last year. But you guys, what do you think?
Go ahead.
It's a cutthroat business, man, especially at that position. There's
only one.
Like, your job is to kick field goals. I thought it was like, we interviewed Matt and he had brought that up, like just how competitive it is and how cutthroat of a business it can be. I'm with you though, Josh. I do think it's cool that we were able to get Cade York back on the roster. But with the NFL, I mean, there's money to be made and you get paid pretty decently, especially if you can establish yourself as a really good kicker. But it's cutthroat. They will move on from you. And agreed, there's been tons of guys, Gonzalez, that we've cut, and 2 years later they're Pro Bowl kicker. It's part of the deal. But it's a results business.
That's so true.
Yeah, with the kicker, the backup quarterbacks, and even like your young back end 90, like the NFL's got to figure out some way to like farm these kids down and get them playing time, because ultimately what they do is that the back end roster, like, they don't do much. It's really just for the starters, most of the reps. So if you can get these guys, NFL that is, in some kind of manner with the UFL or even the CFL, and just get these guys playing, I mean, maybe you'll ultimately develop a better players and a even better league. Like, I don't know if you can get better than it is, but you guys kind of know what I mean, right? Like, get these guys in situations where they can get that experience, and like sitting on the bench and kicking in training camps is not going to cut it for a lot of them.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap things up here, but we've got Blake Renneker's joining us from the stage. Whoa. So what's going on, man?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm driving down the highway, so I'm being extremely safe right now. Here's my thought on kickers real quick. I saw a thing that said the Chiefs were considering using somebody besides Harrison Butker for kickoffs and only using him for field goals. I saw Justin Tucker's put on like a decent amount of muscle, because in the XFL, kickers are involved on tackles in kickoff like 23% of the time or something like that. Do you think there's a chance we carry two kickers because our starting place kicker, who is good at field goals, is old and has hamstring problems, then we might not want him out there making open field tackles against kick returners 23% of the time? So do you think there's a chance Cade York's on the team at the beginning of the year to do kickoffs?
Interesting, man. I hadn't really...
100%. I think that's 100% why they signed him, because you don't, the Browns don't want to see Hopkins go down again. And I did hear about the stat about it being like 20-25% that tackles are going to be done by kickers now, because they're the last line of defense. So you'll want either a younger guy, a more athletic guy, to be kind of laying the hammer down. And there's even some thought process that you may have a defensive back that used to kick in high school if the game's really on the line, or maybe some other positional group person that has kicked and has some functionality of doing that kind of kick.
I think the Anthony Bell can kick for us. I think he's kicked before, hasn't he?
I don't know if he's like kicked or just been like a last resort fill-in type of guy, but maybe.
So I don't know. I just think there's a chance maybe we don't see Dustin Hopkins on kickoffs. We don't want to see him go down.
I think that's a smart thing to consider. My only question with it would be what roster spot are you giving to roster a secondary special, more specialized kicker?
No, I thought about that. The only thing I can think is like, do you not carry, the last wide receiver on your roster or whatever? It's probably not going to help you. Can you practice squad that guy, use 2 kickers, and then God forbid one of your kickers goes down, then you promote the wide receiver back up, and then you roll with 1 kicker until the other guy comes back.
No,
so in the late 90s, some teams carried 2 kickers, and I think Bill Belichick was one of them. He would have your long kicker, and he would have your field goal kicker. And that was a thing in the late 90s. Nobody does that anymore. I'm sure if you look up one of Barry Shuck's articles, I'm pretty sure I contributed to that article and said that very thing.
So that was my 2 thoughts when I heard you guys talking about kickers. I don't know if they will, but I think it's probably at least in the back of their mind a little bit. Like, we don't need Dustin Hopkins run down trying to tackle a kick returner in week 13 or 14, as we're making a playoff push and going down, and we're bringing practice squad guys off again to try to kick game-winning field goals.
Well, if that's the case, and they brought Cade York with that kind of foresight, that's just another man. Andrew Berry's an awesome GM, being that forward thinker, knowing that these rules were going to be put in place, or if these, I think at that time they hadn't been agreed on yet. So. But understanding that if this passes, this is the statistical analysis of, like you said, the 23% tackle rate for those kickers. And yeah, I don't want to see Dustin Hopkins trying to make a tackle. I want him to kick and just stand there. Just walk slowly, gingerly off to the sideline.
Yeah, absolutely.
Justin.
I have to go. Go ahead. You guys take over. I have to go pick up my child now.
All right, Daddy-O. You go. You have a good weekend too, buddy.
Have a good Father's Day, dude.
Yeah, happy Father's Day.
I turn as old as Josh on Monday too, so this is a depressing weekend for me.
Yeah, they smack that mid-30 right head on, man. It's fun.
That's terrible.
All right, well, we're going to wrap this up. Brad Moneymaker requested to speak one last time. We'll bring him in here, and then we'll close this thing down. Brad, what you got?
All right, gentlemen, I just want to wish all the fathers in this chat and in the Discord and the Patreon and the Dawgs Podcast a happy Father's Day.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, man.
Also, one last question. Who is the one coach besides Ken Dorsey that you're really keeping an eye on to hopefully have more improvement in the players? Peace, guys. Have a good weekend.
All right, you too, buddy. Do either of you guys have a coach, a name?
Deuce,
okay. Yeah, we did need some improvement in the running game from last year for sure. Kenny?
I'm gonna be greedy, and I just want to see improvement, but they don't have to. And I want to see it from Jacques Césaire.
Okay.
And let's hit that 50. Let's hit the 50 sack mark just with the defensive line.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'll just take the obvious one for me, which is Andy Dickerson. I want to see obviously we lost one of the greatest offensive line coaches in the league, and we bring in another guy who we expect to be good and hopefully make some improvements. Because last year we talked about the run blocking, even when we were healthy, it was kind of not always on point. So hopefully he can come in and kind of improve that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, do you guys have anything else that you want to throw out there before we wrap it up?
Happy Father's Day, everyone.
Yeah, have a great Father's Day. I am pumped. It started yesterday for me, and I'm just going to keep going.
That's right. Enjoy it all weekend long, fathers out there. You enjoy it all year, you guys. It's a full-time job, never ending, and it's totally worth it. Awesome stuff. So we appreciate everybody who jumped into the first ever Dog Pack Discord tonight. This was a lot of fun. I think we're definitely going to do it again because I feel like this was a cool format and a great way to get our Patreon members involved in the show and then bring that episode and all these conversations to everybody else. And if you guys out there listening, watching right now are interested in becoming part of the Dog Pack, just head to jointhedogs.com, become an official Patreon member, and you can do a 7-day free trial. Get in there. We're trying to figure out how to interact a little more with the free trial members because Patreon kind of doesn't give us a whole lot of options in that regard. But there should be a way for you to connect your free trial to the Discord so you can still get in here and talk to us and talk to everybody else in the Dog Pack. It's an awesome time, awesome people, and a great group of Browns fans from around the world. As you heard, we had somebody in here from Scotland today, so it's a ton of fun. It's very awesome, and we just appreciate all the support that these guys give us year-round. We would not be here running close to 10,000 subs on YouTube without you guys. So with all that being said, hope everybody has a great Father's Day. And for Kenny, for Justin, for myself, we will talk to you guys in the next one. Let's go Browns.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedogspodcast.com.
This episode is brought to you by Danger Coffee. Browns fans, we talk about how Danger Coffee is made free from mold toxins that are in 45% of the world's coffee, but that's not all that Danger Coffee has to offer. Mineral and nutrient deficiencies are a big deal. They make you feel sick, tired, stressed, and they can give you brain fog. These deficiencies negatively affect your immune system, your digestion, sleep, metabolism. Have you ever wondered why you get an initial burst from your coffee, but then you get that little crash not long after? Danger Coffee's patent-pending process remineralizes your body with more than 50 trace minerals and electrolytes, leaving you more energized, engaged, powerful. These micronutrients enter the cells to boost performance. They bind to toxins to provide detoxification support. I know that sounds like a lot, but the bottom line, guys, is minerals matter, and most of us really don't get enough of them on a daily basis. Danger Coffee delivers micronutrients, plus it gives you access to the minerals you already have. Head to dangercoffee.com, use our code DAWGS, DAWGS, for 10% off your order, and that code can be used over and over, so you get 10% off every order you make using code DAWGS. It's time to start every day off with a cup of coffee that gets you going and actually keeps you going. dangercoffee.com, code DAWGS.